Most people like to crack open a little drink every now and then, especially on the weekends. But today we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be using my beer to create some abstract photographic art. Stick around and I'll show you exactly how it's done in just a sec. Hi guys, I'm Ben from Adaptalux and welcome back to another macro photography tutorial. Today I've got another fun abstract shoot that's easy to do at home and easy to follow along with. This one's going to be particularly fun because, well, we're shooting some beer. Now this beer is not to drink, at least not yet, because it's going to be our subject today. I'm going to be pouring it out into some glasses and using our lighting and some camera angles to get some cool abstract shots. So go and grab yourself a beer. It's not often that I get to say that on camera. Go and grab yourself a beer, grab your camera, and let's get started. So then guys, I've got a couple of different glasses of beer here. Two different bottles of the same beer, both San Miguel, one in a San Miguel glass and the other in a different glass. We're going to be looking at the differences between the two different glasses. Hopefully we can get a little bit of condensation, and I also want to shoot the bottle of San Miguel as well, because all of these different things are going to create some really interesting opportunities for macro photography. So I'm going to grab my camera and set up, I think, on a tripod. So here's my, well, fairly simple photography setup. I've got my camera sat here on a tripod and on a macro focusing rail because I might want to do some focus stacking. But even if you're not focus stacking, then it's really handy to have your camera set in a position where you don't have to hold it all of the time. And that gives you hands-free movement to manipulate your subject, move things around, zoom in and out and do your focusing, as well as sort out some lighting. So we've got our 100mm f2.8 Tachyna lens on the front here, which is a macro lens, so we can get nice and close to the surface of our glass and see some of the beer in there. You'll see that we've got a big reflection down the side of the glass. That is coming from this big video light just here, so that will have to be turned off, but we're going to add some extra lighting to compensate. My beer is starting to lose its froth as well, so we do need to be quite fast. I want to capture some of the bubbles and well, hopefully some of the condensation on the glass, but it's not a particularly warm day, so I'm not sure that we're even going to get any. I do have a solution for that we'll talk about in just a moment, but for now we need to add a little bit of lighting and start to bring this shot to life. I will leave the video lights on for just the time being so that you can see what I'm up to, but do please ignore that white reflection that we've got there, unless of course you quite like it, in which case a large light source, say a window or a softbox, will create a large reflection in the glass like this. And because these glasses are curved, it's really hard to get rid of these reflections if you have light sources in your room. The ambient light will always try and reflect on this curved surface. So if you're trying to mitigate that, then make sure to block off any windows or turn out any shooting lights that are creating big reflections like this. For now, we're going to be creating something else, not a reflection. We're going to be backlighting this beer. While it looks pretty cool at the moment, I think we can make this pop even more. So what I'm going to do is grab the Adaptalux Studio. I've got the Control Pod 3 just here. It's got 5 ports in the front, but I'm just going to use one for the time being. And I'm going to plug in an amber lighting arm. So I'm just going to connect this just here, and straight away, even though I've not lined anything up, you can see the difference that that is making by bringing some extra light in around the back. Now that kind of makes my glass look, well, a little bit dirty, and it's bringing up all of that used sort of texture along the edge of the glass. So I'm going to actually just hide that a little bit by using the decal on the front of the glass there, which I think looks really nice. Now it's up to you whether you want to include anything like that, perhaps just the design or the name of the beer, something like that. But having a design on the glass gives you more options for things to shoot. So I'm going to start off with just shooting the blank glass to begin with, and then we're going to move on to capturing some of the detail on the glass. Now you can see that there's all sorts of scratches and scuffs all along this glass because I've had it for many years, but you can see in the middle there some of those bubbles rising upwards. So we want to try and capture that, and I'm going to be fizzing up my beer when it's time to shoot. The last aspect here is to try and make this look like a cold beer on a warm day. So for those of you that live in warmer climates, you're going to be used to getting a cold beer out of the fridge and immediately having condensation form on the outside of the bottle or the glass. It's not quite warm enough for that to happen here in my house. The ambient temperature is not high enough. Although I got my beers out of the fridge, that contrast is not quite enough. So I'm going to have to cheat and create a little bit of condensation on the outside of my glass by using a spray bottle. So I've just got a spray bottle here. It's old multi-surface cleaner, but it's just water in here. I filled it up with water, and I'm going to be spraying a tiny little bit of water onto the side of my glass. It's a nice cheaty way to create a little bit of more interest on the outside of your glass and enhance the look of our beer even further. So playing around with the spray bottle, you can see that we've got some little condensation droplets on the side of the glass now. It's a little bit cheating, but I can almost guarantee that all of the advertising agencies that shoot beer glasses for a living, this is exactly what they do. Their time is very valuable and they don't want to be waiting for condensation to form naturally, so spraying the side of the glass makes it look like a nice cold beer on a warm, sunny day. With that amber lighting arm in the back there as well, it's enhancing that summery feeling, looking like maybe a sunset or even a sunrise if you're, well, an early morning drinker. But using that amber arm, it enhances the colour of the beer and makes everything look a lot more appetizing. There's a reason that I initially described this shoot as an abstract one, and that reason is depth of field. When you're getting close up to a subject, you get less and less of it in focus at once, especially when it's a subject that is actually quite large, like a beer glass. It's very difficult to get much of it in focus at all. And that's going to lean into the abstract nature of a shoot like this. Leading the viewer along a journey is part of abstract photography. You want to leave them with questions of, what is this? What tricks has the photographer used to create this image? If it's just a photograph of a glass of beer and you can see what it is and it's not that intriguing, then it doesn't leave many questions at all. But the closer we get, the shallower our depth of field, the more opportunity it gives us to leave some clues. Things like the amber light and the scratches on the glass, perhaps the water droplets on the outside. They all tell a story that can lead the viewer to the conclusion that this must be a glass of beer. Now back with our beer, I've got another little trick for you. My beer's been sat here for a little while, so although I've got a nice shot and you can see some bubbles in the background there, sometimes you want a little bit more action, a little bit more liveliness out of the beer and out of your shot. So all I'm going to do here is liven things up. I'm going to stir my beer, just agitate all of those bubbles, and it comes out like it's just been poured. All of those bubbles moving around inside behind the constant condensation drops. It looks really nice. So if you're doing a little bit of videography, this is a fun way to add a little bit more movement to your shot. I also want to point out here the difference that the placement in the light makes. All I'm going to do is move my light from left to right, and you can see how things start to change. So if I move my light over to this side, it's still hidden behind the beer, but it's picking up more of a reflection on the right-hand side of those water drops. The beer looks a little bit duller, and the water drops, the condensation, look brighter. Back over here though, we have a brighter beer with a big highlight on the left-hand side. So moving this light around can really make a huge difference in how your image actually looks. You can have a brighter beer with bright highlights, and moving things around can really change how things look. So moving on from our glasses, I just wanted to touch on the possibilities of the bottle itself. Now, this means that you don't even have to open the beer, which is a shame, but I think this is a really cool shot. I've added another lighting arm here, so we've still got that orange lighting arm, the amber lighting arms pointing in from the back, but because this bottle is brown glass, it kind of means that we can't do any shining of the light through the glass. It just takes away too much light and it doesn't look very good anyway. So I've found a position where that light is reflecting off the edge of the bottle, but it's also creating a lens flare. So if I zoom the camera in and out here and follow the edge of the bottle, we can have that lens flare shine in and then end right on the condensation on the front of the bottle. I think that's a really nice little shot. It can be easily filmed and cut into an advert or something like that, but it's a really nice still as well, just with a little bit of lens flare, deliberate lens flare. Now the reflection on the bottle is actually created by the second lighting arm there, which is a white lighting arm with an orange diffuser on the end. So we're creating a little bit of color in a different way, and it's creating a reflection not only in the bottle but also in those condensation droplets. I just think this is a really fun little shot that again leaves the viewer sort of questioning what they're looking at. Of course, we all know that it's a bottle of beer, but somebody else might take a moment to try and figure it out. So photographing beer, well, it's pretty fun for a couple of reasons, not least because there's beer on hand, but also because of the things that we've discussed today. The color of the beer and enhancing it with some colored light, it can really create a lot of possibilities for invoking feelings in the viewer. So making that warm feeling of a summer's day and then using the spray bottle to make the beer itself seem cold and create that condensation. Having a look at the texture of the glass and some of the wear and tear of glasses that have been found in pubs. They're never perfect. There's always a few scratches and scuffs, but if your glass is perfect and pristine, maybe just taking a look at the design of the glass, maybe representing the brand of beer. And of course there's also the bottles, which are a lot more interesting in their curves. You've got the bottle caps to take a look at, and you can use all of those same tricks with the colored lighting and the spray bottle to create that feeling of cold beer on a warm day. Now, I think I've said cold beer on a warm day enough times today that I deserve a cold beer on a warm day. So I'm going to go and grab a fresh beer from the fridge that hasn't had my waiter's mate stirring it around and go and sit in the sun. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know down in the comments if you learned something, or if you're just going to go and enjoy a beer with me. Make sure to leave a like on the video and hit subscribe for lots more macro photography tutorials, ideas and inspiration coming in the future. For now, that is all I've got time for. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.